What if one man with no royal blood, no title, and no power on paper could somehow control the most powerful family in Russia? Some called him a saint. Others called him a monster. Rumors spread that he could hypnotize people, heal the sick, and seduce women with nothing but his strange charisma. His name was Grigori Rasputin, and his story is one of the darkest mysteries in history. Rasputin was born in 1869 in a small Siberian village. He was not educated, he was not wealthy, and he was not important. As a young man, Rasputin lived a rough life. But something changed. After a religious awakening, he began traveling across Russia as a wandering holy man. He claimed to be deeply spiritual. And people began to listen. In an empire filled with poverty, fear, and superstition, a mysterious mystic was exactly the kind of figure people believed in. By the early 1900s, Rasputin arrived in St. Petersburg, the heart of the Russian Empire. The city was filled with nobles, priests, and royal officials. Rasputin quickly gained attention, not because he was polished, but because he was intense. He spoke with confidence. He acted as if he had divine purpose. Some believed he was a prophet. Others believed he was a fraud. But either way, he was becoming powerful. One day, Alexei Nikolaevich, the young son of Tsar Nicholas II and Empress Alexandra, suffered a terrifying bleeding episode. Alexei had hemophilia, a disease that made even a small injury potentially fatal. Doctors were helpless. Nothing they tried could stop the bleeding. The heir to the Russian throne was slipping closer to death. In desperation, Alexandra sent for a man she believed had special powers, Grigori Rasputin. According to accounts, Rasputin arrived calmly. He prayed. He spoke softly to the terrified mother, telling her not to panic. And somehow, Alexei's condition began to improve. To Empress Alexandra, this was no coincidence. It was a miracle. She became convinced that Rasputin had been sent by God to protect her son. From that moment on, Rasputin was no longer just a peasant mystic. He was inside the palace. People began whispering. Was Rasputin using hypnosis? Did he have supernatural powers? Or was it something else? Modern historians suggest Rasputin may have simply calmed Alexei, reduced stress, and even stopped doctors from giving harmful treatments. But in the eyes of the royal family, Rasputin was their only hope, and that gave him influence no outsider should ever have had. Soon, Rasputin's reputation turned darker. Rumors spread across Russia that he drank heavily, that he lived a life of sin, that women from high society were obsessed with him. Some believed Rasputin used religion as manipulation, claiming that sin brought people closer to salvation. Stories of secret affairs filled newspapers. Even the Tsarina was not spared. Gossip claimed Alexandra was involved with him, though historians agree there is no solid proof. Still, perception mattered, and Rasputin became the symbol of corruption inside the monarchy. By 1916, Russia was collapsing. World War I was devastating the country. Millions were dying. Food was scarce. The people were angry, and many believed Rasputin was the reason. Nobles feared he was controlling Alexandra, and that the royal family was being destroyed from within. One thing became clear. Rasputin was no longer just a man. He was a threat, and some decided he had to be eliminated. A group of aristocrats, led by Prince Felix Yusupov, planned Rasputin's murder. They invited him to a palace on a freezing December night. Downstairs, they prepared cakes and wine, laced with poison. The plan was simple. Rasputin would eat and die quietly. But according to the conspirators, he ate, he drank, and nothing happened. Panicked, Yusupov pulled out a gun and shot him. Rasputin collapsed. They thought it was over. But then, the legend begins. The conspirators later claimed Rasputin suddenly rose again, staggering forward, as if refusing to die. More shots were fired. Finally, they beat him, wrapped his body, and threw him into the icy Neva River. Days later, Rasputin was found dead. The story spread instantly that he survived poison, that he survived bullets, that he fought until his last breath. Historians today believe much of this was exaggerated, but his death became a myth larger than life. Rasputin's murder was not the end. It was a warning, because only months later, the Romanov dynasty collapsed. Revolution swept through Russia. The royal family was overthrown, and eventually murdered in cold blood in 1918. Even the children. Rasputin was not a wizard. He was not truly a hypnotist, but he was something just as powerful. A man surrounded by belief, fear, scandal, and desperation. And his legend helped mark the death of an empire. Rasputin remains one of history's strangest figures. Saint, sinner, or something in between. Subscribe to Past Tense History for more strange and unbelievable true stories from the past.